Welcome to those who are watching the recording as well at this point. We're so grateful to all of you for being here to help us celebrate. You can see, hopefully, Liz and me pinned. So for those of you who don't know one of us, you can now see who we are. You'll also see Nicholas Janni pinned, who wrote the foreword for the book and is very kindly going to provide some words of introduction. So just a brief word from Liz and me about the purpose and the agenda for today. So clearly this is a chance to celebrate, and we're really excited to do that with you all. But as well as celebrating the book, we thought it would be helpful, I don't know, maybe interesting for you if we were to share our thoughts on why we think relational mindfulness is a practice that the world needs. And we hope to inspire you maybe to support us in getting relational mindfulness out into the world. So the way the kind of running order is, as I said, Nicholas is very kindly going to, prompted by some questions from Liz, is going to provide an introduction in the same way as he supported us with the book. Liz will provide a few minutes of sort of settling practice, and you'll have a chance after that to check in with others in the breakout rooms, just a chance to kind of ground by having your voice, even if it's in a small part of the room, in the room. Liz and I will each say a few words about our journey and why we feel that relational mindfulness is important. We're very grateful to Gregory Kramer, who's going to provide a few words from the Insight Dialogue perspective. And you'll hear, many of you know Gregory well, of course. For the others, everything in the book is based on, well, the relational mindfulness guidance that's in the book is based on Insight Dialogue. But Greg can say more about that, and we'll be talking more about that later. There'll be a few minutes to pause partway through, and then after that, I will provide a little bit of guidance to invite you into a dialogue that's going to be not full-blown relational mindfulness practice, but in the spirit of relational mindfulness. So, and then we'll have some time for discussion and raising a cup of tea together towards the end as to round off the celebration. So, looking forward to spending the next couple of hours together.
Thanks, Emma. So yes, I mean, those of you, you know who I am as well, hopefully. But yes, really so happy to be here. I was feeling a bit nervous earlier, and now I'm just like really excited and joyous and really looking forward to this time together. I'm feeling quite celebratory and also very appreciative. So we'll give some special thanks a little later on, but really grateful to see you all here, and that Nicholas, and I was very touched also, Emma was sharing how touched she was reading Nicholas's foreword to the book, but really honoured that you can join us today, Nicholas. So I'm going to pass over to Nicholas shortly, but just to sort of introduce you really, Nicholas. Nicholas is a transformational leadership coach, and he's the author of The Leader as Healer, which is a really paradigm shifting book that's influenced so many people, including us. And he's such an inspiration in so many ways, particularly in sort of how he embodies presence and all sorts of other things. And I think I take a lot of comfort in these times from the fact that you exist, Nicholas, because you two are highly committed to making a real difference in these times. And it sounds a bit lofty, but helping to evolve our consciousness, helping humankind reach its potential in some way. So in these crazy, crazy times, I take great comfort and inspiration from you, Nicholas. So I'm really looking forward to hearing what you have to say. And really, there's a big question coming up for me, which I'd love to hear you speak to, which is what's calling you to, what's the calling here? I've said a little bit about it there, but what's your calling in terms of what you want to do and be in these crazy times?
Well, first of all, huge congratulations to you both. It's a magnificent book. Um, what's calling me is to be the strongest possible agent of healing and awakening. Just a minute, something happened. I don't want to see myself like that. Okay, to be the strongest possible agent of healing and awakening, I see obviously that humanity is, actually, I think it's an extraordinary time to be alive. So much is breaking up. And what I'm finding actually is that's allowing very senior leaders, or it's provoking very senior leaders to dive much deeper than they perhaps normally do. So I'm noticing that. I mean, I just finished a wonderful training program, giving a training program. And the coaches on the program, also because of the work we've been doing, have been reporting that their clients are diving much deeper than normal and revealing much more vulnerable parts of themselves. And I believe we need to work with the two pillars of healing and awakening kind of interdependently. And by healing, I mean, this is why whether I'm training coaches or working with the leaders, my mantra is the first work is with yourself. It's got to be. And that's got to be the continual commitment. Because actually, as we all know, that's the most difficult thing to do. So, and the healing part is where we really look and face everything we've suppressed, everything we had to regulate, everything we had to disconnect from, largely on the emotional level. And we make safe enough space where we can actually really start to feel and de-numb, because I think we're living in a catastrophically numb world. And we're also catastrophically disconnected from the body. So I sometimes say it's a bit like putting the USB back in, because so much of our life energy has gone offline. So I see coaching as holding an incredible space. And the more we do our own work, the deeper is the space we hold. And also the more precise. I'm a huge teacher of precision and also language precision, because I think one of the ways we create a lot of fog is that we speak very imprecisely. If you sit in an average corporate meeting, it's like you just feel so tired at the end because the language is so abstracted. So it's also for coaches to really learn when language is used well, and well means it's totally connected to the embodied experiential level. It's like an acupuncture needle. And you can say something to a client that just goes right down deep. And it has to come from this very open, embodied, heart-open space that we hold as coaches. So that's what's calling me. Thank you. It's a beautiful question. Yeah, and I said at the end of the training yesterday, this is the medicine the world needs. The work you do, the work I do. I believe it's the medicine that's needed, most needed, actually.
And so I know you're a mindfulness practitioner as well, and I've listened to some of your beautiful guided meditations. So the medicine, anything more you would say about the role of mindfulness?
Well, that's I guess that's more in the awakening pillar. It's interesting. I spoke more about the healing pillar because I think that's the one that's often either not addressed or not addressed well enough. So in the awakening pillar, I see as mindfulness is one part for sure, and it's basically awakening more and more to unity, and that's a profound lifelong journey. The way I teach mindfulness, I actually don't use that word, but it is mindfulness. It's first of all, we have to break the chronic dominance of thinking. That's why I often quote Einstein's beautiful question, is your mind your master or your servant? And most people we're going to be working with, the mind has become the master because that was taught from when we were very young, that the mind is the sovereign faculty. And the most important thing to me about mindfulness is that the moment someone, or I or you, the moment we really pay attention, we're relocating ourselves beyond the mind. And as we know already, brainwave frequency changes. So I basically try to practice and teach a kind of 24/7 practice of attention. Because unless we are paying attention and unless we're holding what I call an inner and outer attention simultaneously, I don't think we're really present. So an inner attention is I'm noticing largely my body, I'm really grounded, and I'm noticing my whole interior space, also emotional, subtle, intuitive. And at the same time, in fact, only then can I fully notice you. Because otherwise we just go like that and we're already gone. So I teach a lot about what I call the backward circle, coming back in and down, and that everything comes from that. And from there, I can go very fast. I can be very loving. I can be very fierce. I can be whatever is really needed to be because I'm totally attuned to you. And the other core part of that is that that we start to coach from a much less cognitively driven place. And we start to notice that you, the client, become totally transparent, meaning I feel your interior in more and more detail and more depth, even if you don't say anything. That's, I think, an extraordinary, it's a new version of reality, actually, because when I start to train coaches, at first they're like, what do you mean? And then after a bit, it's like, wow, yes, we can really feel each other. And that opens a totally different level of coaching.
Certainly resonates hugely in terms of
Yeah, you write beautifully about that.
hoping for it, and hopefully expressed in the book. And I know you sort of mentioned it in the foreword, and I think I alluded to it, but I'm just wondering if there's anything more you would say, Nicholas, about why now? Because this is all cool stuff to do anyway, anytime, right? But why is it so, yeah.
Well, I mean, I've been doing it a long time. What I do love, and I'm sure everyone here would find the same, is that the work is constantly evolving and deepening. I find that amazing. Literally, like where I am now is very different. No, it's not very different. It's considerably deeper than even 6 months ago. Why is it now? I don't know, other than humanity is, I think, at a real junction point. And I think we've got so disconnected, and that ultimately that's the root of all the crises, in my view. I don't think we can save humanity, by the way. I think we're going to go through really, really tougher and tougher times. But I do feel very strongly that this work, it does two things. It's helping people navigate these very challenging times. And a part of that is community and group. And it's also, in some essential way, birthing a new culture. It's birthing a new culture. And how that's going to play out, I have no idea, but it's not going to be very pretty. It already isn't very pretty. So it's just an extraordinary time to be alive, because we all have to anchor ourselves far beyond what's happening out there. So we have to really deepen and deepen our capacity to be still in the middle of the chaos, in the middle of the storm. And that's a big deal. That's a really big deal. So I come back to my baseline, which is that we as coaches and the leaders I work with have to put our own development as number one priority. And that's forever. That's forever. And we need to keep, we were talking about this the other day, it kind of sometimes looks like, oh, what? I have to deal with that again in myself. But actually, yes, because we just go deeper and deeper and it'll be forever. Sometimes you can think, oh, I thought I was made more progress than that. No, no, we keep coming. I speak for myself. We just come to deeper and deeper layers of what we're carrying inside.
That didn't resonate, that last piece, really, the layers of layers. But so what's your best hope in these times if we do engage with each other in these beautiful ways, more tuned, more listening, more able to kind of feel the energy, see who the person is, keep doing the work, maybe not saving ultimately humanity, but what's your best hope, Nicholas?
Interesting question. I don't really think in those terms, but if I were to, it's that there are stronger and stronger groups and communities who are anchored in a very different consciousness to the one that is prevalent in the world, and that ultimately is one of beauty and joy. And sometimes that in itself is an interesting challenge. Am I allowed to be joyful when there is so much suffering around? But actually, I believe innately deep down, that's our natural state, is to be very joyful.
No, that's beautiful. And there's kind of islands of not just sanity, but joy, small
Joy and beauty. Joy
yeah.
and heart, of course, above all of heart connection. So I would say, one of the real amazing edges for me in the work as it's evolving is that I think if we do deep enough work with ourselves, what starts to be possible with ourselves and with clients is actually a recoding of the nervous system. And it's nothing to do with thinking. It's an energetic, vibrational work. And I think when that starts to happen, we're in a breathtaking kind of magical territory, actually. And it's super precise. It has to be tracked on a very subtle, energetic level.
Beautiful. Thank you. Yeah, is there anything else you'd want to say to wrap up? I know you have to.
Yeah, I have to go and do some supervision now.
Yeah, you really want to say here.
Yeah, this is the time to be courageous. This is the time to stop playing small, to stop fitting in, because there's so much that will make us keep our heads down. No, that has to stop. So I think we have to support each other to be absolutely uncompromising now.
Beautiful. Well, what a call to action. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you very much, Liz. It's always a pleasure. Yeah. And congratulations again to you and Emma for a really amazing book.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Bye, Nicholas. Thanks again. So that was inspiring to listen to. As promised, Emma, I know some of you joined us a little bit later, but Emma was speaking to what we're planning to do today to celebrate. But we thought before we pop you into breakouts, just have a bit of a chat, really, in terms of in a smaller setting, in terms of maybe what's been awakened after listening to Nicholas, or just how you're arriving. That I would guide just a little practice. So of course, always optional. But bearing in mind, we probably all had busy days, the invitation is to just take a bit of a pause. You can pop your camera off if you prefer. But yeah, just to take a few minutes or so. So finding a comfortable spot, a position that you can be sort of alert in and comfortable at the same time, closing eyes or gazing downwards, whichever feels best for you in this moment. Yeah, just having a sense really of settling, of arriving in this beautiful shared virtual space. Maybe bringing the attention down to the abdomen and just noticing any sort of movements, any sensations in the belly as we breathe in and out, not forcing the breath in any way. But just noticing as we breathe normally, what that feels like in the body. Bringing the attention away from the breath, having the breath perhaps in the background, bringing the attention down into the feet, noticing any sensations, lack of sensations in the feet, maybe the temperature, the weight of the feet as they make contact with the surface they're resting on, and just having a sense perhaps of almost like a tree with roots going down into Mother Earth. So we can really be held and feel grounded. Inviting in a sense of spaciousness, of sort of settledness, groundedness and spaciousness. And just noticing if we sort of turn our mind to how we've arrived today and what's been evoked, stirred up, awakened in the talk that we just heard, or the dialogue rather, with Nicholas. Yeah, just making some space for that, just noticing really. You'll get a chance to share if you wish to shortly, but for now, just what's alive, what's emerging. Maybe thoughts bubbling up, maybe bodily sensations, emotions, all of the above. Maybe questions. Just making space for all of that to be here. And having a sense of your body sat here, the outline, fuzzy outline of your body, the points of contact between your body and whatever just the chair or wherever. And then expanding the intention to include noises, sounds in the room, still keeping your eyes closed or gazing downwards. And a sense of everyone else on this call, this celebratory call. I notice some joy arising as I say that. But yeah, just a sense of everyone else on the call. And then in your own time, maybe letting some light come in to your eyes gradually if you had them closed, and raising them up to the screen, taking in lovely faces, maybe even having a stretch. I feel the urge to stretch suddenly, having been at the end of the day. So we are going to, as I said, pop you into breakouts. Emma's going to wave her magic wand shortly. We're saying sort of 10-15 minutes. I think we're all right for time, aren't we? And yeah, it's just a chance to be in a smaller group, really. If we were at a proper sort of live launch in an event place, we'd probably wander around and go and have a drink and talk to so-and-so and say, oh, that was interesting, or that was whatever. And this is how I'm arriving. So it's a bit of a chance to do that pop into a breakout for a little while, and maybe you want to share about what's been evoked through Nicholas's talk, or just, yeah, what's going on for you around mindfulness, how you're arriving. So it's just a chat, really. Emma's going to open up the dialogues.
So welcome back, everybody. Hope you feel grounded and arrived, and that your voice is here. So before Liz and I say a little bit more about our journey on the book, we just wanted to take a moment to appreciate a few people. Obviously, Nicholas, who's now left us, but particularly Gregory Kramer. Many of you, as I said before, will be very familiar with Gregory, but oh my goodness, as you'll hear, Insight Dialogue has been the foundation and inspiration. So thank you, Greg, and I'm so glad that you're here and that you're going to say a few words as well. We're just delighted. And then huge appreciation to all of the interviewees, many of you whom are here, the 11 of you who were, well, again, as you'll hear, really helped us shape the book, gave us confidence in relational mindfulness. So anybody who has or gets a copy of the book, you'll see how these wonderful people contributed. Huge appreciation to Rebecca Marsh, and to everybody at Routledge, who were very forgiving of Liz and I going, can we have a few more words, please? Or can we have a bit more time, please? Or, and have been a really great team to work with. So thank you, Rebecca. And then just loads of other people, as you'll see from our rather lengthy acknowledgement. I think we both feel that we've been endorsed by people, supported by people, inspired by people. So many kind endorsements that we've received. So thank you, everybody. Liz, have I missed anything? Is there anything more you wanted to add by way of appreciations?
Well, all of our clients, all of the people who've come on trainings with us, we've learnt so much from everybody. I mean, it's work in progress, always, isn't it? And also, I mean, we acknowledge them, but certainly my husband and my kids, some of whom are here. So just been enormous learnings there in relationships, beautiful times. So yeah. I don't know if there's anyone else you wanted to acknowledge, Emma, but yeah, that's me, I think.
Yeah, and my partner Malcolm, who's been part of my ID journey. When I say ID, I fall into that quickly, I mean Insight Dialogue. So, yeah. So maybe it is a good moment to just mention what we mean by relational mindfulness. And this capacity we have to bring our full awareness, deliberately place our attention, and bring a non-judgmental attitude right in the midst of relating to a fellow human being. So right in the midst of speaking and listening. And that's a quality, that's a capability that we develop through practice. And literally, it has a very embodied sense to it. So just in the same way as you can't just sit down at a piano and play, you build those skills by repeated practice. And the same is true for relational mindfulness. And the form of relational mindfulness practice, but as I said, we offer through this book, is based on Insight Dialogue. So that's a mindful dialogue practice that brings together insight meditation and Buddhist wisdom teaching. So it's drawing on all of that richness and wealth. And when I discovered Insight Dialogue and started practicing mindful dialogue, I found not only did it develop that kind of meditative quality, but it also developed a kind of heart-opening, compassionate, relational quality. And and I think this is really intriguing for those of us who are coaches, this piece about insight and how dialogue generates new ways of seeing things, wisdom, particularly if there's the Buddhist teachings, but even just in a more secular form, it can generate whole additional layers of how we perceive the world, our insight into our own habits and patterns. It opens this space to have a much clearer view. And when I first discovered the practice, I was working as a coach and a consultant and coaching supervisor, and I was doing a lot around leadership. And I was really interested in leadership as a source of employee well-being, or as a potential source of employee stress, actually, and how to prevent it causing stress. And so I've been doing loads of coaching and training for leaders. And I saw how just providing kind of knowledge and skills training wasn't sufficient to shift some of those behavioral patterns. And so I got really fascinated at how could we bring something based on insight dialogue into a leadership development context. And there were others who were interested in discussing that, so we were talking about it. And somehow or other, I tumbled into doing a doctorate to research it, and seeing that something that was based around this mindful dialogue had real potential. So I started offering relational mindfulness programs, what I found for leaders, for coaches, and for others. And what I found was that it was the coaches who were the most responsive, who kind of grabbed this and saw its potential. And so that's how come I started writing articles for Liz's journal, Coaching at Work, and started talking to Liz about it. And we kind of fell into writing the book together, which has been such a joy. Liz, thank you. It's been such a joy to collaborate with you. And it's been such a relationally mindful journey together. It really has. And then, as I said, we drew in the wisdom of these 11 interviewees who were all people who had both coaching and insight dialogue or relational mindfulness in their sphere. And it was so wonderful to have that kind of endorsement from these 11 people, all of whom were saying, yes, we're getting the same benefits. And so it was both an encouragement to continue writing the book. It was an endorsement for why the book was important, and it's just given us so much rich material. As if you've looked at the book, you'll see loads of italics where we're quoting interviewees. So, just to round off what I want to say, I really see this as something that can benefit coaches. I'm kind of really confident in that now. And some of the things Nicholas was talking about. This is a child. I'd love to see it as a part of coach development, a regular part of coach development. I still believe that leaders are a key audience, could really benefit from something that's based on this kind of mindful dialogue practice. And we're in a world that really needs it. Again, Nicholas and Liz were pointing to this at the beginning. There's so much suffering, there's so much polarization, conflict. We really need this sense of building understanding, building dialogue, building support, building clearer seeing and mutual understanding. And I think relational mindfulness offers some how-tos with that. It offers a chance to kind of build these capabilities and to listen better, to listen more deeply, to connect with one another, to navigate the complex and challenging world. And to give us that presence and stability that we need. And as coaches and helping professionals in general, I think we're part of this movement of getting these kinds of ways of being with one another out in the world. So I'm really hoping that the book and the work that Liz and I are doing together will kind of bring more compassion, more kindness, more presence, greater wisdom into this hurting world. Over to you, Liz.
Thank you, Emma. Echo everything you've said, of course. And it's been quite a journey, really, to get here. I mean, I first came across mindfulness about 30 years ago and been practicing for about 20 years. But I think for ages I had this conviction, because I was experiencing so many benefits from my individual practice. I had this sort of sense of, well, that's enough, really. You know, I sit on my cushion, I do my own practice, and that's rippling out, because it was, and I was enjoying much better relationships and so many benefits, and I was very much inspired to share it with clients, to research and write about mindfulness in coaching. But I still thought, yeah, individual practice, that's where it's at. And then I think probably I started to expand my thinking when I started going to Plum Village, the community set up by Thich Nhat Hanh. I know some of you here are familiar with that, and the sort of intentionally relational mindfulness practices that were being rolled out in that community, and getting a real sense of what's possible when we practice together. So that was great. I'm a bit further along my journey. And then I come across sort of insight dialogue, and really big bow to you, Gregory, and had the pleasure of being on a retreat with Greg recently, which was amazing. And the work of Emma, and I just started thinking, okay, even more is possible. So that's it. I'm just totally convinced that you know, there's so much more we can do and be in terms of being mindful and how we connect with each other, and that relational mindfulness is so helpful. Yeah, I mean, it's funny really, because I didn't think I was going to be able to be here on Monday, and everything felt like it was all falling apart as I live in Spain. And I've posted on LinkedIn, some of you will have seen that. And I was just really struck, not only by, goodness me, how much I wanted to be here and was hoping I could be, but just how, you know, what it feels like when things change overnight. I know everything's always changing, impermanence is the name of the game. But, you know, when everything changes suddenly, and what's important, you know, and that sense of how do I want to be in the world, and, you know, the importance of relationships, the importance of showing up in the way that we want to, and how that can be really difficult in challenging times. So even more compelled to keep up the work, I think, after, well, not just Monday, but, you know, just what you were saying, Emma, about how needed it is in these times, these ways of being, and getting better at it. Nicholas Janni was talking about how the work goes on and on, all the layers, and I was thinking, yep. And if it wasn't for relational mindfulness, I don't know, you know, because I learned so much. You know, all the insights keep coming, and, you know, it's not an easy ride. But yeah, and so in terms of writing the book with Emma, again, to echo what you said, Emma, it's been such a joy, and I was delighted, because actually I said to Emma, you should write a book about relational mindfulness in coaching. When are you going to do that? And she was like, well, why don't we write it together? And I was like, okay. And off we went. But we really sort of had a lovely journey with it, because we have genuinely practiced and embodied relational mindfulness. So every time we've got together, we've sort of, you know, had a silent practice together, we've checked in, we've done formal dialogues when we're trying to kind of grapple with some stuff. We've had all sorts of creative ideas that's meant going back to the drawing board, because we were in this more kind of resourceful, open, spacious place, which meant more work, but I think meant a better product. Whatever product doesn't feel like the right word, but the better offer in the end. So it's been quite a journey, and I've been delighted to work in that way and support each other, because sometimes life gets in the way of your creative endeavours, and to be able to be compassionate with ourselves and each other. So yeah, it's been a really delicious journey actually with Emma. So what else did I want to say? I think the other thing I wanted to say was that, you know, obviously we appreciate that relational mindfulness isn't the panacea for everything. I mean, we do get very excited and passionate about it, and we think it is absolutely amazing. And yeah, of course, it's not the be all and end all. And, you know, although a big chunk of the book is informed by insight dialogue, you know, we do dedicate a part of the book to exploring other approaches, frameworks, techniques, and we came up with but we landed upon that wonderful Buddhist metaphor of Indra's net to sort of help us make sense of this, that there's, you know, Indra's net, as so many of you know, is this idea of sort of, you know, in every direction there's all these jewels, and each jewel has its place, but it's, interconnected, and they reflect each other, and they're all part of the whole. And that's what it felt like, this treasure trove really of all sorts of bits and pieces. Gestalt, internal family systems, somatic coding, all sorts of stuff. We could have included so much more. We had to make some very tough choices. But yeah, this idea of, ID is amazing, insight dialogue is amazing, and there's so many other beautiful things. And people here, whether you're coaches or not, will have wonderful things you draw, other jewels that we still have to come across. So I wanted to sort of honour that, really, that ID is a big part of it, but there's also so much more as well. And I think that's me done. Really lovely to, I can notice how excited I'm getting talking to you. I was nervous earlier, and now I'm like, yes, this is lovely. Celebrating with you all and sharing some of our journey. So without further ado, I'll shush and hand back to you, Emma. Thank you for listening.
Yeah, I can feel the bubbliness, and I'm adding Greg to the spotlight. Greg, thank you so much for agreeing to say a few words at this point. It would be lovely to hear your thoughts and on how you see insight dialogue contributing to this troubled and hurting world.
Wow, that's a humbling question. First of all, I'm really happy for both of you, Emma and Liz, and I know how much you bring your hearts and your integrity to what you're doing, so that's why I'm here, frankly. This question of the poly crisis, which for those of you who can try to imagine what it's like being a citizen and living in the United States right now, what that might feel like to have the power that is accumulated from this country and the people in it to be used in such cruel and basically insane ways. So it doesn't carry much weight, but I offer my apology. I certainly offer my sorrow. And I do believe we're always in a polycrisis, always, and that this is just a lot more inflamed, quite a lot more inflamed. I taught a 3-hour, call it what you will, I offered 3 hours of teaching to a group of trauma therapists a couple days ago in Lebanon. And these are people, as you know, as you can imagine anyway, on the front line of multiple wars, decayed economy, stress, the loss of leaders who have been either killed or the falling apart of the political system. And then meanwhile, people have their lives, which of course are impacted in more personal ways from all this. It's not just the big stories, it's all the flesh that goes on the bones of those big stories. And I saw these people continually asking, how can I bring this, what you're sharing with me now, to my clients? And they had specific questions about that, because insight dialogue practice can be very refined, very delicate. And of course, what Emma and Liz are doing with this work is putting it in a framework where some of that delicacy may remain, but there's also an implementation aspect that, let's say, a meditation retreat would not do. That's a different thing. And so here I was teaching them as best as I could to map the pause of their internal awareness and any, to use Nicholas's word, precision, but not conceptual precision. It's just mindfulness when it becomes clearer, stronger. How they can map it into, people who can't sit still or relax or open, and the astonishing relational touch of which we're capable. But how do you offer this when someone has no earth under their feet? And what really struck me is that, despite my saying multiple times, I'm happy to respond and offer you what I can in the way of guidance about those questions, I'm urging you to take this for yourself now, to discover what you can discover, not to just treat it as an intervention and get from me, how do I do this for them? So I wanted to heal the healers, or to contribute to healing the healers, not just to providing another tool. But one of the things I came away with was a very fleshy sense of the pressure that's being experienced, that even me here in the United States with Donald Trump and all these people that are ripping apart democracy and abusing the world and exhibiting cruelty every day, and how that hurts me. I did not lose anybody in a bomb. I did not lose my livelihood, my home. I have not lost any family members. And the intensity and the pressure, and the word pressure was brought up a lot by these therapists, what they are encountering in others and how it feels to them. So I have to say, you ask me a question like that, Emma, how does it fit now? And humility is greater than hubris, and as I try to respond. Yes, I still believe that access to love is important, and in insight dialogue, and relational mindfulness, it's a practice of love, isn't it? It's a practice of compassion. Access to a more refined awareness, yes. Access to internalizing and embodying deep wisdom teachings, absolutely. It contributes to the world. It goes into this pool. Has its little bit of power as a water purifying gem. But I am so humbled by what the realities are that many of our sisters and brothers, all people, all animals are dealing with. So if nothing else, I just offer my compassion and commitment to keep offering whatever I can. So thank you. And I know probably just about everybody on this call is doing this same work. You're doing it in your way. I'm grateful for everything you do, all of you. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Gregory. Thank you. And I love the way you talk about that we have to take this practice on ourselves. And I sincerely hope that Liz and my book, as well as being instrumental in getting it out there, is also sending that message that as coaches, it's about our embodiment. Yeah, so thank you for reinforcing that message. So I'm going to pause the recording. So we mentioned in the reminders and on the booking page that we would provide a practice, a relational mindfulness practice. And after much discussion, we decided that we wouldn't provide a full formal relational mindfulness practice. We'd provide a practice in the spirit of relational mindfulness. Hopefully that makes it more accessible to those of you where this is completely unknown territory. Hopefully for those who have a relational mindfulness or insight dialogue practice, it's still a chance to really play with that and bring your practice into a dialogue. So as I mentioned, any skill that is an embodied skill, a somatic skill, which relational mindfulness absolutely is. It sounds, the word mindfulness makes it sound like it's just the mind, but actually it's an embodied practice. We need to practice that at an embodied level. So that's why a formal time where you actually play, you rehearse, you practice, can be so beneficial. And with the full-blown relational mindfulness practice, which if you haven't experienced it, you might want to come along to our taster in June, and we'll send details. For that practice, we provide a strong grounding in a mindfulness practice and a set of guidelines that are the insight dialogue guidelines that support the mindful present moment nature of the dialogue. And we also create some strong relational agreements around how we take care of one another. And we generally allocate times for a speaker, for different speakers to speak, so that there's a chance to kind of bring attention to how it is to speak mindfully and how it is to listen mindfully, as well as to dialogue mindfully. So what I'm going to do this evening, even though it's not a full-blown formal relational mindfulness practice, I am going to provide some guidance to support a kind of a settling and bringing mindfulness into it. And I am going to provide what we call a contemplation question, a question for as a kind of guide for what you might dialogue about. And I would invite you to be as fully present with one another as possible. So I mentioned about having your cameras on if you can, and if you've got other devices or activities going on, if you can let those go for the time that you're in the breakout room, and really listen deeply to what you and your dialogue partners have to say on the topic that I'm going to suggest. And allowing silence. So one of the benefits of becoming more mindful as we speak is that we can notice if we tend to tumble into filling every silence, and we can actually allow silence as a support to both the listening and the speaking. And the other invitation is to really notice what's arising, not just in the mind, not just the thinking, but what emotions are arising, maybe what physical sensations are arising, and being able to speak from that full experience, the full body, heart, mind experience, as it were. So with that by way of preamble and hopefully sort of setting a context, what I'd like to do is just provide a few minutes. Liz, do you want to say something?
Oh, only just a quick live check-in here. Four or three is fine, isn't it? In each, well, yeah, just while I was beavering away on the breakout.
3 in each breakout room. Thanks. Good. So Liz is busy beavering and setting up the breakout rooms so that you all have a hopefully positive experience. So what I'd like to do is provide just a few minutes of guidance and an introduction to the question I invite you to contemplate together or to explore together. So you might want to find a posture that is sufficiently comfortable that you're not going to need to kind of fidget and move around. And you may find just for the next few minutes it's helpful to either lower your gaze or close your eyes, because the visual field can draw us out. And what I'm going to invite just for a minute or two is to bring attention to the internal experience of this moment. So to really feel into a sense of a physical body that's here now, Because our mind can wander off into the past and the future, but the body, these sensations, maybe feet on the floor, maybe the thighs if you're sitting on a chair, maybe the sensations of the breath. These sensations are here now. So if we're ever caught in a spiraling mind, feeling our feet on the floor, taking a breath and feeling the sensation of that is a way to bring us back into what's here now. And that's the guideline pause. It's this chance to place our attention specifically into what's here now. We're pausing, we're feeling these sensations. And if we notice any tensions, any tightness in the muscles, any holding on, maybe stress in the mind, we can invite that to release. Just gently softening. We're not forcing anything here. We're just inviting a sense of releasing tension wherever possible. Perhaps we unfurl the fingers and the toes, soften the shoulders, loosen the jaw. We relax. And we also allow. So wherever discomfort or tension remains, can we release resistance to that? Can we just be with whatever's here? So there's this relax, allow that helps us to be fully present, receptive to whatever's here in our experience. And with this sense of pausing and relaxing and allowing, just inviting you now to bring to mind an experience where someone listened deeply to you, where you felt that this person was totally present with you. They were undistracted, they were attending fully to your words, they were maybe attending to your body language. They were really being present and listening deeply. And making that reflection, that recollection as real as possible. And really bringing perhaps the face of this person, perhaps the surroundings, making it as real and live as possible. And noticing how that feels, maybe how it felt then, how it feels now as you recall it. Really getting into, what's that actually like at an emotional, a felt sense level, a visceral level, to be truly listened to. So really being with that internal experience and gradually opening to the external world as well. So seeing if it's possible to be with that reflection, that recollection, and begin to notice perhaps the air that's around you, maybe noticing sounds that indicate the wider world. And whenever you're ready, beginning to let in the visual field. So re-engaging with the world that you can see. Maybe even the screen in front of you and the faces on the screen. And can we be with this external world and with the internal world? So we're playing with this guideline open. That is, Nicholas mentioned it as well. Internal awareness, external awareness, both. So in just a moment, Liz is going to press open breakout rooms and invite you into groups of 3 or 4. As you move into the breakout room, maybe taking just a moment to pause together. And we're not going to have formal speaker 1, speaker 2, speaker 3, but seeing if you can give time for everybody in your room to speak. I will send some little banners so that you know the timings. And inviting you to really play with this. Can I be with this recollection? Can I speak of the felt experience? And can I do that whilst in relationship with the other people in my breakout room? So enjoy playing with this practice. Enjoy exploring this contemplation. How is it? How does it feel when we are truly deeply listened to? Okay, over to you to open the breakout rooms.